Well, if it isn't Mr. Free Speech himself, completely failing in his own lawsuit which aimed to restrict the free speech of others. A lawsuit so pointless that the judge ruled it only made sense as a way to silence someone from talking about him and attempt to set a precedent that he and his companies are free from critique moving forward. Not that we nor anyone else who's been paying attention actually believe Elon Musk when he repeatedly claims that he is, of course, a champion of freedom of speech at any cost. But now, in this latest ruling, a judge dismissed a case filed by Musk that aimed to silence one of his critics after they simply highlighted a slew of hate speech that was being spread across Twitter, currently known as X, without any moderation because the accounts were paying for X Premium.
Yeah, so we covered the original story here when it was playing out last year, but here's a brief refresher. Early last summer, the Center for Countering Digital Hate released a damning report regarding hate speech on the platform, who was spreading it, and whether or not any of the posts or accounts were reprimanded or removed for posting things like blatant racism, Holocaust denial, anti-Semitism, and anti-LGBTQ bigotry. From their original research paper published in June, new research shows that Twitter fails to act on 99% of hate posted by Twitter Blue subscribers, suggesting that the platform is allowing them to break its rules with impunity and is even algorithmically boosting their toxic tweets. Researchers collected tweets promoting hate from 100 Twitter Blue subscribers. The tweets were reported to the platform using Twitter's own tools for flagging hateful conduct. 4 days after reporting the tweets, researchers found that Twitter had failed to act on 99% of the posts, and 100% of the accounts remained active. In the one instance that Twitter removed a hateful tweet, the account from which it was tweeted remains active. The research not only raises concerns that Twitter Blue users can get away with tweeting hateful content, but that they also benefit from algorithmic amplification as a result of their paid subscriptions, which,
Not only are they saying bad things, they're getting it boosted by the algorithm.
And it would be one thing, oh wow, that's crazy. No, you don't need even to see the data behind this. If you just are simply on X for any period of time, you see this to be demonstrably true.
Yeah.
And I saw this amazing, someone did a test just like yesterday or the day before, where they tweeted hey, the next couple tweets are gonna be a little weird, please disregard, I'm doing a test. And it was just like, I hate cis people, I hate gay people, I hate trans people, I hate black people. And then they came back with the results an hour later, where the only one that had a Twitter notice on it that said this tweet may have violated our community guidelines or whatever was I hate cis people. The other three posted seconds apart.
Oh yeah,
no such notice.
Very similar to the other experiment where in order to get your account back, you say that you are being abused by the woke left.
Yeah.
And then it's just instantly reinstated. But so this report, Elon took it as a personal attack and also claimed that the report was done with the sole intent of destroying his business by tricking advertisers into leaving the platform by simply reporting on the hate speech that was, and still is, proliferating the social media site with nearly zero moderation. The hate speech was already there, growing rapidly, and in many cases being boosted by an algorithm that prioritized those paid accounts. The CCDH simply pointed this out. A bunch of large advertisers saw this, and also, I don't know, like Elliot said, just maybe browsed around on Elon's new pet project for a few minutes before then deciding to pull back on some of their marketing spend. Elon filed a lawsuit against the CCDH a few weeks after the report was published, and here's NBC News at the time that this all happened.
The lawsuit, filed in U.S. District Court for the Northern District of California, accuses the Center for Countering Digital Hate, CCDH, of orchestrating a scare campaign to drive away advertisers from the X platform by publishing research reports claiming that the social media service failed to take action against hateful posts. In the filing, lawyers for X Corp alleged that the CCDH carried out a series of unlawful acts designed to improperly gain access to protected X Corp data needed by CCDH so that it could cherry pick from the hundreds of millions of posts made each day on X and falsely claim it had statistical support showing the platform is overwhelmed with harmful content. The complaint specifically accuses the nonprofit group of breach of contract, violating federal computer fraud law, intentional interference with contractual relations, and inducing breach of contract. So at the time, the CCDH called the lawsuit filed against them straight out of the authoritarian playbook. And they claimed that Musk was clearly trying to shoot the messenger who highlighted the toxic content on his platform.
Well, it's been about 8 months since that lawsuit was filed, and, a judge threw it out of court. And in justifying their decision, said that Elon Musk had filed with the intention of silencing and punishing his critics.
Yeah, the judge is like, yeah, so this is a slap suit.
Yeah.
You filed a slap suit. We have laws against this, so...
And of course, this is very ironic for a guy who claims to support freedom of speech at any cost, which again, we all knew was bullshit anyway. It's freedom of speech for him and people who agree with him, but not for anyone else. Here's the Washington Post with more on the failed lawsuit. A federal judge in California on Monday threw out the entirety of a lawsuit by Elon Musk's X against the nonprofit Center for Countering Digital Hate, ruling that the lawsuit was an attempt to silence X's critics. Quote, X Corp's motivation in bringing the case is evident, U.S. District Judge Charles R. Breyer wrote in a 52-page ruling. X Corp has brought this case in order to punish CCDH for CCDH publications that criticized X Corp, and perhaps in order to dissuade others who might wish to engage in such criticism. Are any of you shocked at hearing this? Because we're not.
It's just nice to finally have it validated in the court of law, in the public record.
Not that that matters to any Musk
let the
sycophants.
record state, this man is a petty bitch who loves drama.
That's true. But again, it won't matter to any of the Musk
No, it won't,
supporters.
but it matters to me, damn it.
Yeah, it's still something to me.
It continues, the ruling is a win for research groups that study online platforms and a blow to Musk's campaign to portray X's loss of advertisers as a vast conspiracy against him. Under Musk, X has also sued the nonprofit Media Matters for America in federal court in Texas, and it threatened to sue the Anti-Defamation League before reaching a détente with that group. Musk certainly doesn't seem to champion free speech rights when the speaker is being critical of him, said David Green, senior staff attorney and civil liberties director at the digital rights nonprofit Electronic Frontier Foundation. Breyer dismissed the suit under California's strict laws against what are known as SLAPs, or strategic lawsuits against public participation. The judge did not mince words in his finding that the suit lacked merit and appeared to be a blatant attempt to intimidate researchers and critics. Under California's anti-SLAPP statute, defendants are entitled to have their legal fees paid by the plaintiffs who filed the frivolous suit. So pay up, Elon. Yeah. Elon's going to have to pay for all the court costs for this lawsuit, which is very funny. And it's probably like a decent chunk of money because when you're being sued by a billionaire, and you know,
put up quite a defense.
even if you know in your heart that you are in the right, you're going to be spending some money on, representation.
A waste of the court's time, which could be doing much better things. Also, this is just one of the various things that he's having to come off the wallet for, including apparently financing Gina Carano's suit against Disney and all the other lawsuits that he's either defending himself against or filing on behalf of his companies.
He has a lawsuit fetish. We say this each week, and each week it is proven true. The man cannot achieve orgasm without having at least a dozen lawsuits in some status of being...
He is horny for litigation.
He loves it. He loves it. Win, lose, doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Got off either way.
Yeah. That's the end goal anyway. But if irony is your thing, we've got even more for you because thanks to a recent Freedom of Information Act request by The Intercept, they uncovered the fact that Twitter/X, under the ownership of Elon Musk, was selling user data for government surveillance at the exact same time it was fighting government surveillance in court. So the reporting starts with a recap of a lawsuit that Twitter filed against the US government 10 years ago with the goal of creating more transparency about the requests that the social media site was receiving for user data directly from the feds. And that lawsuit was still ongoing until January of this year when it ultimately failed. But while this lawsuit was still active, and after Musk acquired the platform, X apparently had no problem selling its users' personal data through a company that went directly to the government, despite, once again, Musk claiming to have the exact opposite stance on this kind of overreach publicly, even stating the following in the company's petition to the Supreme Court.
History demonstrates that the surveillance of electronic communications is both a fertile ground for government abuse and a lightning rod political topic of intense concern to the public.
And The Intercept adds that after the court declined to take up the case in January, Musk responded, tweeting,
"Disappointing that the Supreme Court declined to hear this matter."
But privately, though, it was, I guess, a different story. He was playing both sides, so he comes out on top either way. Or comes out a loser
trick.
either way. Yeah. I don't know. Here's more from the reporting. Emails between the U.S. Secret Service and the surveillance firm Data Miner. Okay.
Pretty on the nose for a name, yeah.
Obtained by The Intercept from a Freedom of Information Act request show that X is in an awkward position, profiting from the sale of user data for government surveillance purposes at the same time as it was fighting secrecy around another flavor of state surveillance in court. While national security letters allow the government to make targeted demands for non-public data on an individual basis, companies like Data Miner continuously monitor public activity on social media and other internet platforms. Data Miner provides its customers with customized real-time alerts on desired topics, giving clients like police departments a form of social media omniscience. Although Data Miner defends First Alert, its governmental surveillance platform, as a public safety tool that helps first responders react quickly to sudden crises, the tool has been repeatedly shown to be used by police to monitor First Amendment-protected online political speech and real-world protests.
Unlike other platforms it surveils by scraping user content, Data Miner pays for privileged access to X through the company's Firehose.
Interesting.
A direct, unfiltered feed of every single piece of user content ever shared publicly to the platform. While it was unclear whether, under Musk, X would continue leasing access to its users to Data Miner, and by extension, the government, the emails from the Secret Service confirmed that, as of last summer, the social media platform was still very much in the government surveillance business. Quote, Data Miner has a unique contractual relationship with Twitter, whereby we have real-time access to the full stream of all publicly available tweets, a representative of the surveillance company wrote to the Secret Service in a July 2023 message about the terms of the law enforcement agency's surveillance subscription. According to an email from the Secret Service in the same thread, the agency's interest in Data Miner was unambiguous. The whole point of this contract is to use the information for law enforcement purposes. Privacy advocates told The Intercept that X's Musk-era warnings of government surveillance abuses are contradictory to the company's continued sale of user data for the purpose of government surveillance.
That's wild. Because a lot of social sites, when they get requests from the government that they can't really say no to, and I think they're also not allowed to publicly acknowledge it. So a lot of sites, at least in the 2010s, they had canaries, where they basically had a page. It was usually just /canary, where if they hadn't given any information away, everything was all fine. But if they had been asked by the government for information and had given it up, the site would change. You would know based on something. So, but yeah, this is wild to just be no, you pay us, you can have all the data you want. It's going to the government? Good. We love government surveillance here on X.
It is kind of it's nice in their benefit to have this intermediary because they can sell data to the government without it looking directly like that.
I feel like there'd be a little bit more plausible deniability if the company wasn't literally called Data Miner. How was I supposed to know what Data Miner was up to?
I thought the name was ironic. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Wait, you're telling me Data Miner is mining my data? Anyways, not that any of this should be surprising. If you're on social media, you can bet your ass that anything you post, read, view, comment on, or whatever is not only being sold to the government, but also sold to an endless supply of data brokers who sell that information to other companies for monitoring or marketing purposes. It's also not surprising since Elon Musk is the king of government contracts.
That's true.
While at the same time promoting himself as some kind of self-made man. So yeah, it shouldn't be surprising that he would publicly denounce data monitoring and requests by the government while at the same time getting paid to allow the government to spy on his platform's users. Hell, it probably makes him more money than the countless ads for everything from crypto scams to as seen on TV level garbage.
Which is all the feed is these days. All of my ads recently have been, they're like, don't you want to get your kids this egg that you can draw on for Easter?
I saw that one. Yeah, you draw lines on the egg. For some reason, for the last week, Twitter has been convinced that Elliot, he's going to love Liver King. Once Elliot gets a load of Liver King, and that one's especially funny because, so I'm just getting Liver King ads constantly, and all of them have community notes on them being like, oh, actually Liver King did steroids.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he's super happy about
greens.
Yeah. Sure, he's super happy about how his ad campaign's going.
Oddly, a lot of the ads that I'm seeing now are literally just tweets where someone's like, come with me on the journey. And it's just a random account and it says ad on it. It's like, well, what is this?
I was getting a few there for a little while where it was like clearly just blatantly advertising AI products that you can put pictures of clothed women into and
that's right.
create
Yeah.
nudes
Jesus Christ.
from.
Great site, Elon. Going well. Also, I could talk about this in a longer sense, but like this weekend really hit home the fact that aside from, yes, being a porn site, X is also just a snuff film site now. Not that like a lot of the footage from, war and stuff, it is important that it exists, but back in my day, back in the old internet days, you used to have to go to specific sites just for that and be like seeking that kind of stuff. Even Reddit got away with like the gore subreddits and things like that. Now, as a regular user, if you log on to X, you're going to see videos that are honestly some of the most horrific human activities you have ever seen.
Yeah.
There's
with no warning or
with
any
no
way
warning,
to block it. Like with Reddit, at least you can just turn off not safe for work shit showing up on your feed.
You will, if you go on X long enough, you will watch someone die a very painful death just on the main feed.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is a hard one to argue against because a lot of the footage is very important to be seen, at least from a news organization standpoint. Maybe not for your average fucking person, because this is doing untold damage to their mental health, being served horrific gore on a daily basis. But yeah, on the other side of things, like the videos I'm talking about specifically are they captured those terrorists in Russia, and the torture methods were on full display on Twitter.com that they used to get them to admit their involvement. Was very shocking, to say the least. But anyways, like we said, it's not just moving back to the data selling thing or giving things to the government. It's not just Elon Musk doing this. Every platform does it. It's part of the reason we talk about data protection so frequently anytime the TikTok legislation comes up. It'd be nice if there were laws in place that restrict all companies from exploiting the data that you're willingly giving them, but that won't happen. Case in point, YouTube's doing the exact same shit right now. Though in this next scenario, they were ordered to hand it over. They weren't selling it to the government like Musk's platform inadvertently did. They had the intermediary.
They gave it away for free. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was recently uncovered that Google was ordered to provide federal investigators with the personal information of users who viewed certain videos on the YouTube platform, which, as Mashable points out in their coverage of this news, justifies people's half-joking concerns regarding whether or not watching certain videos will put you on a list. Mm-hmm. Turns out, yes, you are on a list. Mm-hmm. And that list has been given to the government. And yeah, it's not like these videos were terrorist recruitment videos or like topple the government type stuff. It appears as though investigators were trying to get a target to view a standard YouTube video, in this case, one about mapping an area with drones, and then forcing Google to hand over all the personal information about every single user who watched that video so that they could whittle down the potential suspects in the case.
So I hope none of you watched drone mapping videos in the past couple of months.
So yeah, all of that to catch someone who was allegedly money laundering a bunch of Bitcoin. Okay, but here's Forbes with more on this.
Federal investigators have ordered Google to provide information on all viewers of select YouTube videos, according to multiple court orders obtained by Forbes. Privacy experts from multiple civil rights groups told Forbes they think the orders are unconstitutional because they threaten to turn innocent YouTube viewers into criminal suspects. In a just unsealed case from Kentucky reviewed by Forbes, undercover cops sought to identify the individual behind the online moniker, get this, Elon Musk WHM, who they suspect of selling Bitcoin for cash, potentially running afoul of money laundering laws and rules around unlicensed money transmitting. In conversations with the user in early January, undercover agents sent links of YouTube tutorials for mapping via drones and augmented reality software, then asked Google for information on who had viewed the videos, which collectively had been watched over 30,000 times. The court orders...
There's gotta be a better way to do this.
I know, right? Hey, we sent them the link to this one video. By the way, there's...
Sir, you are the government. This seems like the most inefficient fucking way to do this.
There's one potential criminal who's doing money laundering.
Assuming they watched the video.
Yes. We need all of the very personal information of every single person who watched this video.
Assuming they watched it, assuming they were signed into their account, like, this is ridiculous.
They would have probably the IP information or whatever, but still, it seems like a very weird way to go about a investigation.
Yeah.
So the court orders show the government telling Google to provide the names, addresses, telephone numbers, and user activity for all Google accounts users who accessed the YouTube videos between January 1st and January 8th of 2023. The government also wanted the IP addresses of non-Google account owners who viewed the videos. So there you go.
Oh.
For good measure, you know.
Let's just let's have them all. We're going to arrest every single one of them, and then we'll sort of whittle it down.
Could you imagine like getting a knock on your door and then being like, did you watch a drone mapping video from these dates? Like, yeah, I guess so. Am I in some kind of trouble?
Yeah, I watch
well,
a
you
lot of
might be. We're going to have to bring you down for some questioning. You
Yeah.
and 30,000 other people.
Yeah. Anyway, it continues. Privacy experts said the orders were unconstitutional because they threatened to undo protections in the First and Fourth Amendments, covering free speech and freedom from unreasonable searches. This is the latest chapter in a disturbing trend where we see government agencies increasingly transforming search warrants into digital dragnets. It's unconstitutional, it's terrifying, and it's happening every day, said Albert Fox Kahn, executive director at the Surveillance Technology Oversight Project. No one should fear a knock at the door from police simply because of what the YouTube algorithm serves up. I'm horrified that the courts are allowing this. Yeah! Anyway, for their part, reps from Google, they put out a statement that said they handle these requests on a case-by-case basis and examine each demand for legal validity, and that they routinely push back against overbroad or otherwise inappropriate demands for user data. So actually, yeah, we let this one through. But if
They can't admit that they did that.
Well,
But the court
maybe we
seems
did,
to-
maybe we
yeah.
didn't. But hey, if you saw the ones that we say, no, if you saw the ones where we say, government, you'd be like, wow, you guys are actually pretty cool.
You'd be throwing a parade right now.
Wow. Actually, they love protecting my constitutional rights at Google. So, I love Google.
Yeah, I love Google. All right, well, I guess it's time to talk about Donald Trump for a second because another classic tweet has proven itself correct once again. How is Donald Trump going to wriggle his way out of this one? Easily wriggles his way out. Well, nevertheless.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's done it again, folks. Monday of this week was supposed to be the day that everything started caving in on Trump, considering the fact that his bond was due. He owed nearly $500 million, $500 million. And if he didn't do that, the state was actually going to start seizing his assets and property. But wouldn't you know it, not only has that changed in a way that is much, much better for Trump, but he also had one of the best days of his financial career to top it all off. It would be infuriating if it weren't so predictable, and if we obviously hadn't been constantly beaten into submission by our country's clearly biased justice system. Because there's no way that if Elliot said he couldn't pay a parking ticket, they'd be like, well, sorry, buddy, you better fucking do it.
No, you don't understand. I can't pay it. So let's just do this some other time when I can pay
This
it.
would be like if you got a parking ticket and you were like, no, I need you to reduce the amount of the ticket while you also made $1 million on the side.
Yeah.
But it's even crazier than that. So let's get to Trump's massive financial windfall first, because it is, of course, at least at face value, pretty sketchy seeming. And the metrics appear to have no basis in reality. But hey, then again, when has that mattered?
Never.
This is the stock market after all.
Yeah. So, Trump's social media company, Truth Social, merged with a shell company called Digital World Acquisition Group over the weekend, which means that Truth will start trading on the stock exchange by the time you watch this video under the ticker symbol DJT for Donald J. Trump. According to CNBC, the deal immediately brought Trump's net worth up by over $3 billion. And the stock value continued to climb on Monday when the news about his fraud trial judgment being reduced and postponed became public, with some reports claiming the deal is now worth over $6 billion. Fuck it.
Yeah.
So not only did Donald Trump get infinitely more wealthy this weekend, despite that vast wealth, the court saw fit to not only reduce the amount he owed on a bond that would allow him to appeal the court's decision against him in the New York fraud case, he also gets another 10 extra days to come up with the money and pay the bond and file the appeal.
Yeah.
So it literally went from Trump saying, I can't pay this bond, it's outrageously expensive, I need a discount, no one will give me a loan, no. To his social media business merging into a publicly traded stock and making him billions of dollars. To the court saying, okay, yeah, the bond was a little too high, now that you mention it, why don't you just pay us like, I don't know, a third of the cost, and then also take an extra 2 weeks. You're welcome. We love you.
This sucks. It just keeps happening.
Yeah.
To be fair, though, this is literally just the bond amount that he needs to spend in order to appeal. He's still on the hook for the judgment, and interest will start accruing. But it's another successful step in the plan to just kick that can down the road until he can potentially win the election in November and then make all of this go away. With more on this frustrating but ultimately predictable outcome, here is the New York Times. With Donald J. Trump on the clock to secure a nearly $500 million bond in his civil fraud case, a New York appeals court handed the former president a lifeline on Monday, saying it would accept a far smaller bond of $175 million. The ruling by a panel of 5 appellate court judges was a crucial and unexpected victory for Mr. Trump, potentially staving off a looming financial disaster. Had the court denied his request for a smaller bond in the fraud case, which was brought by the New York Attorney General, Mr. Trump risked losing control over his bank accounts and even some of his marquee properties. For now, those dire outcomes might be on hold.
Mr. Trump has 10 days to secure the bond, and 2 people with knowledge of his finances said he should be able to, though doing so will effectively drain much of his cash. In order to obtain the bond, a promise from an outside company that it will cover his judgment if he ultimately loses the appeal and cannot pay, Mr. Trump will have to pay the company a fee and pledge about $200 million in cash and other investments as collateral. So yeah, while he's still facing the judgment in this and other cases, and also on track to appear in court for even more cases against him, he gets a little life preserver and a little discount on his bond, all while becoming billions of dollars richer in the process for putting a worthless social media site on the stock market through a shell company.
Great. Wonderful. There are a couple caveats here. Trump absolutely did play chicken and win.
Yeah.
He waited till the last possible moment because he knew that they were probably going to break. And that's what happened. In the meantime, he, on a completely separate deal, got infinitely much more wealthy. But having said that, he cannot cash out his stock for 6 months. Mm-hmm. So that obviously will change between now and then, and you would hope that value would go down.
I'm curious if, he can't cash out for 6 months, but I'm wondering if he can...
He can probably borrow against it.
Yeah, can he take out loans against
with no interest?
I mean, probably will. Great. Anyways, in case you're keeping track, Trump's next trial has an official start date. That one's related to the hush money paid to cover up his infidelity with the porn star Stormy Daniels. That one is the first of 4 criminal trials, and it will begin on April 15th, tax day. Pay your taxes.
Yeah. This is the first criminal trial, so...
Pay your taxes, because they're going to funding all these fucking giant trials.
Anyways, finally today, last week we spoke about how odd it is that AI-generated art has seemingly taken over the Facebook feeds of the elderly, inundating them with fake images of things like cats, cakes, woodworking, ice carving,
babies,
paintings,
lots of
babies, and much, much more, for seemingly no reason other than just standard content farming. But with the implication being that they are lulling old people into not understanding the difference between what is real and what is AI, and then potentially switching to posts that can convince them to alter their beliefs, vote in a certain way, or just interact with the world differently because their feed is literally brimming with stuff that doesn't actually exist, despite there seemingly being photographic proof of it. Well, the Daily Beast dug a little deeper into this phenomenon, and their whole article is worth a read, but here's a few of the relevant bits.
It seems that older users, generally those in Generation X and above, that you hear that, Gen X?
You're elderly.
You're old.
Yeah.
Are falling for these visuals en masse on social media. It's not just evidenced by TikTok videos and a cursory glance at your mom's Facebook activity either. There's data behind it. This platform has become increasingly popular with seniors to find entertainment and companionship as younger users have departed for flashier apps like TikTok and Instagram. Recently, Facebook's algorithm seems to be pushing wacky AI images on users' feeds to sell products and amass followings, according to a preprint paper announced on March 18th from researchers at Stanford University and Georgetown University. Take a look at the comments section of any of these AI-generated photos, and you'll find them filled with older users commenting that they're beautiful or amazing, often adorning these posts with heart and prayer emojis. Why do older adults not only fall for these pages, but seem to enjoy them?
The general conclusion seems to be that they have no idea that what they're seeing is fake. Because, shockingly, we know, old people tend to not be as tech literate as younger generations.
Wait, are you fake?
Many of them have no fucking idea that AI exists in this way.
Yeah, why would they? This has all happened very quickly, and It's really unfair.
Yeah, they're not aware that it's happening, and then all of a sudden they get a photo of something, and they're like, oh, I have no other reason to believe that this wouldn't be real.
Yeah.
Also, it is funny that like I'm convinced that some of this stuff on Facebook is just bots posting things, but it is funny that like the Facebook bot is adorable, smiling heart eyes emoji, and that's the version of pussy in bio from X.
Cat in bio. Pussy cat in bio.
Yeah. His name's Donovan, and I've owned him for 15 years. He's going blind, and he's definitely deaf, but he's my little snugglebug. Anyways, their reporting continues, adding that in an August 2023 AARP and NORC survey of nearly 1,300 U.S. adults aged 50 and older, only 17% of participants said they have read or heard a lot about AI. So far, the few experiments to analyze seniors' AI perception seem to align with the Facebook phenomenon. In a study published last month in the journal Scientific Reports, scientists showed 201 participants a mix of AI and human-generated images and gauged their responses based on factors like age, gender, and attitudes towards technology. The team found that the older participants were more likely to believe that AI-generated images were made by humans. The report then gets into the why part of this, saying the following.
Regardless, scammers have wielded increasingly sophisticated generative AI tools to go after older adults. They can use deep fake audio and images sourced from social media to pretend to be a grandchild calling from jail for bail money, or even falsify a relative's appearance on a video call. Fake video, audio, and images could also influence older voters ahead of elections. This may be particularly harmful because people in their 50s and above tend to make up the majority of all US voters. We are so fucked. Yeah. And they point out that no one's coming to help your grandparents, nor your aging parents. So if you still have a relationship with them, you should, at least try and help them understand what generative AI is, how to identify it, ways that it might be used nefariously against them, to defraud them or trick them.
Tell your parents what they're reading is fake news because they're just going to be combative. But with what is currently spreading on Facebook, it is just like these generative AI pictures. And that feels a little more approachable to be like, okay, you see that guy who made a wonderful birthday cake?
That cake's not real. The cake
Neither
is a lie.
is the guy. The cake is a lie, and so is he.
The cake is a lie, and so is the guy.
And you see that beautiful carving of a ship made out of ice? That's not real. Someone just put a prompt into it, and so hopefully,
it's
because
But like the reason this is so frustrating is because so you find out, and it's like, okay, so now I just can't trust anything
at all.
Whether anything I see with my own eyes is real, which is a just bleak way to exist in the world. Like, for a very long time, the difference between reality and non-reality has been pretty easy to ascertain for the average person. That is over with. And I think that's a big fucking problem.
Yeah, especially when some of the world's biggest companies are the ones behind developing this. It is quite literally ruining the internet faster than anything else has ruined the internet.
And it continues, Google search results, the top Google Images search results continue to be AI-generated photos. So when you're like looking for like a picture
Same with Adobe stock. Adobe stock, there's so much of that shit on there.
That's all part of the plan for Adobe. Yeah. But like the fact that like you go on Google Images to see what something looks like, and there's a very high chance that the first few results are going to contain AI-generated images that aren't real, that is troublesome.
Yeah, it is. Very unfortunate and depressing.
But things are getting increasingly bleak out there. Soon enough, there might be nothing in these boomers and olders and Gen Xers feeds that is real at all. It's where Facebook is going to become the Matrix.
Yeah. Anyways, just so we're not leaving the video on a completely sour note, here's our wacky vice president, Kamala Harris, clapping and dancing along to a song in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Damn.
Until one of her associates informs her that the locals are actually making fun of her and singing a protest song about her visit. So here you go. Enjoy. Queremos saber, Kamala.
Damn. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? These people here hate you.
Yeah, and they exist within the context of everything that you are and came before you.
Yeah. Anyway, no sponsor. Again, you are the sponsor.
Thank you for supporting this show, whether it's just leaving a like, which you should do
Yeah.
right now. Hit the like button. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Support the show by making sure you're subscribed to the channel, because subscriber numbers, they still matter somehow. Leaving a comment and replying a comment is honestly, it's the best way to show that you are engaged in the content and letting YouTube know that more people should be seeing this.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for all
Leave
of that.
a comment as if you are a 80-year-old woman commenting on an AI-generated image of a cute little cat.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Cat heart eyes emoji. Just beautiful. That man carved an entire cruise ship out of ice
Yeah.
for no reason other than just he loves art.
I fucking love science.
I bet there's so many of those pages already out there that are just like making up science experiments. Anyways, yes, do all those things. Like the video. Click the join button if you're very wealthy and want to support the show
Yeah.
financially. But
Spread the
otherwise,
wealth around.
Otherwise, just leave a comment or a like. We really appreciate it. If you haven't already, please watch our most recent episodes of Weekly Weird News and News Dump. Check both of those out, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.